revealed numbers 11 through 20 on the list. So what do you think that means? Well, logic tells us we now know the top 10 players on the list, and you should know it too. In alphabetical order, where Nick, Kevin, and I are always last, that group includes Davante Adams, Josh Allen, the GOAT, Aaron Donald, Derrick Henry, D-Hop, Mahomes, and Travis Kelce, and the MVP, Aaron Rodgers, and T.J. Watt. So, Nick, take this in. That is their top 10. You got your own top 10, though, that we don't have to wait until Sunday to see. Take us through it.
Correct. So, listen, NFL Network, it's not a bad job. It's a passing grade. You got 7 out of 10 correct. But T.J. Watt, I hate to say it, but Josh Allen and Davante Adams are not top 10 players in the NFL. Here are your top 10 players in the NFL. They are all the best at something. Coming in at number 10, Tom Brady. He is the best. I got to give him credit. I guess he's the best leader in the NFL. And that applies not only to his own team, but to the opposing team. Like, he can mind meld the opposition. Hey, you're down 8 in the NFC Championship game. Kick a field goal. He can mind meld the officials in the Super Bowl. Hey, pass interference, it's got to be catchable. No, it doesn't. It just has to be a Tom Brady incompletion. Where he goes, winning follows. He's the 10th best player in the NFL, the best leader. Number 9 on the list. The best middle linebacker, the best linebacker in the NFL, 24-year-old phenom Fred Warner. He was not in the top 10 on the NFL's list, or he's not, I think he was like 21 on their list. He is the linchpin of the dominant 49ers defense. He got paid as such. He's your 9th best player in the sport. Number 8, the best tight end in the NFL, coming off quietly the best tight end season ever. The most yards ever by a tight end in the season. If you add the playoffs, he had over 1,700 yards, dozen touchdowns. I think it passes Ditka's season 60 years ago and Gronk's season a decade ago as the best season by a tight end ever. 5 straight 1,000-yard seasons. Best tight end in football. He's number 8. Number 7, the best the best defensive end in the NFL. Number 6, the best wide receiver, Myles Garrett. The guy has been nearly a sack a game for the last 3 seasons. His production's unbelievable, and he's doing it without a great back end behind him. So not a lot of coverage sacks he's getting. He's doing that even though everyone knows they got to stop him. Number 6 is the best wide receiver in football, DeAndre Hopkins. Doesn't matter who his quarterback is, doesn't matter what the system is, doesn't matter what the situation is. He's your best wide receiver with the best hands, most consistent production in the league. Now we get to the top 5. The only true shutdown corner we've got in the league. We got a lot of guys that are close. Jalen Ramsey's the only real one. After week 1 last year, my guy allowed 24 catches on the season. 11 games held the opposing receiver to 25 or fewer yards. He's the best corner in football. Number 4, the best quarterback in the NFC, Aaron Rodgers. The guy's got no holes in his game, seems totally at peace with where he's at. Dominant last year, expecting to be dominant again this year. And now your top 3 players in the league. Number 3, I think he's a little underrated. Derrick Henry. I thought he couldn't duplicate what he did in 2019. Instead, he was 30% better. He is single-handedly bringing back the value of a true running-only running back. Oh, you guys want to catch 100 balls. You want to be able to go out in the slot. How about I just pound you with my fist repeatedly? That's what Derrick Henry does, 3rd best player in the sport. 2nd best player in the sport. I think he's overtaken J.J. Watt as the best defensive player of his era. What Watt did in the early part of this decade, I don't know if anyone will ever be at that level for 3 years. But Aaron Donald now for 6 years has been the best defensive lineman, maybe the best defender in the sport. He's number 2. And number 1, and I will tell the audience this, it's obviously Mahomes. Everyone knows it's Mahomes. If you come out with a list and you don't have Mahomes, you're trolling. But on this list, would you believe Patrick Mahomes, not only has he never been number 1 on this list, he's never been top 3 on this list, which is why the list I'm giving you is obviously superior to the one the NFL is going to give you, because never been top 3? Oh, Mahomes, most talented quarterback of all time, never been top 3. Okay, good, smart. Yeah, we like that. He's the best player in the league. Everyone knows he's the best player in the league. You wouldn't trade him for Donald, Henry, and Ramsey. He's the most valuable guy in football. He's number 1. There it is. That's your top 10. I took a long time there because I assume this part will be very short because it's just going to be congratulations. Nick, great to have you back. That's a perfect top 10. I thank you. I assume that's what Coach going to say.
Nick, I love your list, and it always excites me when you put one together. It doesn't surprise me that you were wrong on a lot of these. But there were some that I think were very good takes. I love the Fred Warner addition to the top 10. I agree that his impact has been incredible, and I think he's worthy of being in this list. I think you got Tom Brady about 9 spots off. I'd put Tom Brady at number 1, yes. and here's why: is I know that you want to undervalue the impact that a quarterback has on a whole team, because of course, why would you want the quarterback to impact the whole team? But what Tom was able to do in going to Tampa Bay and bring them to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl, it's amazing. And I didn't think he could do it. I underestimated him, and he did it. And that's why I'd put him at 1. I'd put the quarterbacks 1, 2, and 3. I'd have Mahomes at 2. I'd have Aaron Rodgers at 3. And then for me, I'd move Aaron Donald to 4 and Derrick Henry to 5. I think you made a mistake by not including Adams. He's got a higher catch percentage than Hopkins does. His numbers were pretty staggering last year and have been staggering over time. And it's not like there's always been a second threat where they couldn't concentrate and try to take him away. And I actually had Kelsey a little bit higher. I had him more at 7 than 8, because again, his catch percentage is ridiculous. I think it's like 77% in his career. I don't know where that ranks him all time, but it's got to be up in the top 4 or 5% ever. So I like that. With the other players, I think you can go either way. There's a lot of guys that could slide in and out of the top 10. T.J. Watt, you can make an argument for. And then, it was nice. You did a nice job. You did some good things. But obviously the biggest mistake is where you put Brady.
Okay, so let me just address that real quick before we go to Wilds. Because I don't want to hear, Nick hating on Brady. Not hating on Brady. Giving Brady massive respect.
What are you talking about? He's number 10.
I have him on this list.
How do you not hate on him?
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. I had him above Russell Wilson, who's better than him. I had him above Lamar Jackson, who's better than him. I had him above Josh Allen, who just had a far better year than him, because at this point, I just understand. You're right. I have to there is something metaphysical with Tom that you can't quantify. Some folks would say, I prefer my quarterback not throw 3 second-half interceptions in a conference championship game. But it doesn't matter for him. So, that's me giving him massive credit, Wilds, but having him ahead of Mahomes, Coach, it's too much. Coach, it's too much.
I know
you
prefer your quarterback with 1 Super Bowl ring. I prefer my quarterback with 7.
Okay, all right. It's not a lifetime achievement list. All right, Wilds, go ahead.
Let's just look at last year.
I'm just going to pile on the Brady thing. I'm going to give you an out. I'm going to give you an out, Nick. If LeBron...
I don't want an out.
...all of a sudden became a free agent, I'm just going to put it in your world. Just going to switch it up for you. If LeBron became a free agent and say, you know what, I'm going to sign with the Pelicans, we would all say, you know what, Pelicans, chance to win the NBA championship. And I'd be like, Nick, why? The Pelicans? You would be like, well, he affects the game. He affects the game on offense. He affects the tone of the team. He affects a championship mentality that they're missing. He makes everyone better. Watch how good Zion gets with him. That's exactly what Tom Brady does. And you give LeBron all the credit for doing that stuff. But Tom Brady went to a team that was 7-9, and next thing you know, they're winning the Super Bowl. So why don't you apply the same GOAT status that you give to Brady, or excuse me, that you give to LeBron, give it to Brady too. That's a nice little olive branch to you. You're already kind of got the framework. Just extend it to Brady.
Stop it. I do apply the same GOAT status. Brady is the greatest quarterback ever, but that is not a contemporaneous ranking. And I don't know what the LeBron comp of the previous year going out in the first round of the playoffs on a pick six against Ryan Tannehill would be in basketball. But if that's what LeBron had come from, if LeBron was like, well regarded as like the 18th best player in the sport and then went and won a championship with the Pelicans, he would go back into the top 10. Would he be number one? I don't know. But there are only 2 other quarterbacks on the list. I have Brady. Russell Wilson's not on there. Josh Allen's not on there. Lamar's not on there. Baker's not on there. I kind of wanted to put Justin Herbert on there just to watch Coach's head explode.